I won't stop till I hear him say,
Okay, what is going on, CyPRX advanced YouTubers? Welcome back to the CyPRX YouTube page. I have a mind-blowing video breakdown for you all today. We're going to be talking about China. We're going to be talking about CBDCs, this potential debt crisis that we are on the brink of experiencing in the United States, why this is all being planned. Now, I just would like to take a pause real fast and say that if you all want a further breakdown on how it is that I feel about CBDCs, my personal perspective, make sure that you head over to our Rumble page where we have just released 2 video breakdowns, if I'm not mistaken, depending on when this video breakdown drops, on my perspective on CBDCs and what they mean for the global economy. Again, the link to our Rumble page is in the description down below. If you are a follower of this YouTube channel, don't miss out on the content that we are providing on Rumble as well. With that being said, today we're going to be talking about the shift in the global reserve currency status, right? So the potential for that, everything that's happening behind the scenes, again, going down the rabbit hole, things that the mainstream media isn't really going to talk about and discuss. Here on CyPRX, we're going to cover for you all, going off of fundamentals that you all can kind of piece together yourselves. This is my personal perspective. Nothing necessarily that I'm sitting here and showing to you all, except for the documents in the form of what's currently going on. What hasn't happened yet is my personal perspective, okay? So talking about this global shift in the global reserve currency status, people have to understand that it is a gradual process that can take several decades or even longer. And that's something to pay attention to as we're going through these fundamentals. You need to understand that it is a difficult process to determine a specific time frame, not only in the cryptocurrency adoption, which we've been talking about for quite some time, like this blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, but there is no set timeline for the shift to occur in the global reserve currency, all right? It's influenced by a variety of factors, specifically things like economic growth, monetary policy, geopolitical stability, things like investors' confidence in whatever nation's going to hold the global reserve currency, things of that nature, right? Over time, historically, in the past, the shift in the global reserve currency status has been slow. So that's something that we need to pay attention to. And it's happened multiple times. For example, the US dollar replaced the British pound as the global world's dominant reserve currency, I believe in the mid-20th century, if I'm not mistaken. And it took several decades for that process to play out. Before the British pound, before the US dollar replaced the British pound, if I'm not mistaken, replaced the Dutch, I don't know what it's called, guilder off the top of my head. I think it's called, right? As the dominant reserve currency. Sorry if I butchered that name, right? And that was in the 19th century. So this takes decades to occur, but roughly every 60 to 100 years, this happens, okay? And we're on the brink of that happening again. So just recently, with all that mouthful out of the way, again, if you're here and you like these in-depth video breakdowns, smash that thumbs up button. Eye-opening content. This is going to be one of those videos that you're going to want to share to your friends and family members to warn them as to what's happening right now. Think about it. The headlines surrounding this whole China balloon scare that just happened over the United States. Again, in my personal opinion, it's all a shift. It's a part of the process to what's about to happen in the world. So just recently, this came out February 6th. The CEO of Bank of America, the second largest bank, said on an interview that he is preparing, or the bank's preparing, for a possible U.S. debt default. We see here the CEO of Bank of America, America's second largest bank, told CNN that he hopes lawmakers resolve their issues because the market and economy love stability, yet defaulting on the country's debt remains a possibility that cannot be ignored. He goes on to say, we have to be prepared for that, not only in this country, but in all countries around the world. The Bank of America CEO, Brian, I'm not going to butcher his last name, told CNN this morning, you hope it doesn't happen, but hope is not a strategy. So prepare for it, right? So in my I believe I did a 3-part video series breakdown. I even have a playlist on the YouTube channel talking about the debt crisis. Go back and watch those video breakdowns if you haven't already. Again, that playlist is on the YouTube channel, specifically talking about the debt crisis and what could potentially happen. But if the United States were to default on its debt, it would likely have severe consequences for both domestic and the global economy. Defaulting on the debt obligations, if you don't know, would signal to investors that the U.S. government is unable to meet its financial obligations, potentially leading to a loss of confidence in the U.S. government and the currency. right? The currency, that's the most important part. So everything that's happening, think about it, right? This whole Chinese war scare, they just announced the other day that they're believing that we're going to go to China, war with China in 2025 in the next 2 years. We're seeing all these scares surrounding, the spy balloon thing in China and whatnot. And then we see the Bank of America CEO talk about, preparing for a potential debt crisis. Okay. Now, if you're not aware and you haven't seen those previous video breakdowns on the YouTube channel, a debt crisis could result in significant decrease in the value of the United States dollar. That's the first thing as risk-on asset investors that we are looking at is the depreciation in the US dollar. It would also result in higher borrowing costs for the government and a potential rise in inflation. It would also, or could also, cause financial turmoil in domestic and international markets, right? And at the end of the day, that could potentially lead to a global economic recession, which you've seen the IMF, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, all these big major key entities warn of that potentially happening, right? So with those fundamentals out of the way, I want to just now take your attention. Remember, we talked about at the beginning of this video that this happens over a prolonged period of time. Well, I want to take you back in time real fast, okay? Remember, we said that this can take decades and it usually happens every 60 to 100 years, roughly, right? This came out in May 21st, 2015 from the World Economic Forum. Can China's renminbi become a new international reserve currency? They asked the question. This was again back in 2015. By the end of this year, the International Monetary Fund will decide whether the Chinese renminbi will join the euro, the Japanese yen, the British pound, and the US dollar in the basket of currencies that determines the value of its international reserve asset. This was the special drawing right, SDR. If you don't know about SDRs, you should definitely go research that. Maybe I'll do another video breakdown, or maybe I'll even do an in-depth video breakdown on the Rumble channel on that. But China is pushing hard for the renminbi's inclusion, and this was in 2015. Then, taking you again back in time, we see an article that came out after that one, Chinese yuan approved by IMF as exclusive world currency, right? For the first time in over 15 years, the list of currencies comprised in the special drawing rights SDR basket has been changed. I wonder why. Again, like we said, decades to take for this shift, for this global shift. Again, we've been talking about this digital revolution, the CBDC, distributed ledger technology adoption here on this YouTube channel for quite some time, telling you all that it's going to happen. When did we call this all out? Okay. 2025 to 2027 is when the global mass rollout of all this is going to happen. Up until that point, it's going to be little tiny stepping stones, impulsive moves to the upside, impulsive moves to the downside, people taking profit, this and that. But when banking institutional giants and their whole entire plan and agenda comes to fruition, in my personal opinion, again, 2025, 2027, mark my words. Mark my words. And we've been laughed at for saying that here on this YouTube channel, yet you all see the dates are starting to pile up. They just came out and said that they're expecting a war to happen with China by 2025, right? I wonder why, right? Coming over here, this came out. China plans to have its currency rival the dollar. A new study assesses its prospects. It says in the past 70 years, again, so like I said, this shift happens every 60 to 100 years. Well, it's been 7 years or so that the US dollar has been the world's dominant currency. Plenty of challengers for the title have come and gone. Now China is trying to establish the renminbi as a formidable competitor to the greenback. Mark my words, okay? I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Again, this is my personal opinion, that by 2030, this shift is going to happen. If not 2040 at the latest. But in between then, there's going to be so much financial turmoil and devastation to the general public because the general public doesn't know that this is happening. They're going to blame it on the government. Little do they know, the government does not control monetary policy. Okay, the banksters do. Moving on to piece all this together. We also saw, this came out February 6th, Saudi Arabia says they're now open to the idea of trading in currencies besides the US dollar. In 2023, World Economic Forum gave the world a good glimpse into the future the global elites envision for us all. What? This is straight coming from Yahoo, confirming what it is that we talk about here on the CyPRX YouTube channel, that there is a group of global elites making all of our decisions for us. I'm not making this up. You all see how I'm just reading fundamentals to you all that are readily available to everybody. Here at CyPRX, what we are able to do is just pick up on the breadcrumbs. People will read this and it'll just fly right over their head. This is Yahoo admitting to you all right now that the global elites had a meeting in Davos, Switzerland this year. What was going on during all that? Media coverage in the wrong direction, media coverage taking people's attention off this Davos meeting. If you're in the finance world of things, you knew that this was happening because you know that these elite individuals are who have their hand in the finance world, right? Saudi Arabia's finance minister, Mohammed, I'm not going to butcher that last one, stunned reporters in Davos when he expressed that oil-rich nations were open to trading in currencies besides the US dollar for the first time in 48 years. I wonder why. Cough, cough. Because the global switch is about to happen. We see a PDF. This came out. China is likely to be the first major economy to issue central bank digital currencies. Now we're going to get into the CBDC side of things. Okay. Why do you all think, just again, put it in a perspective, this is my personal opinion. I want, food for thought. Think about it. Why do you think China is leading the race in global adoption of CBDCs? Why do you think they're one of the first nations to boost the CBDC? Like, we're going to get into that today. They literally gave CBDCs away and people took them because it's free money. Okay. Why do you think they're leading the race? Why do you think they, in 2015, submitted to become a global reserve currency member status participant, right? It's all falling into place. Okay. Wars, things of that nature, all take time. Now you all see the tension starting to cook up. It's going to keep going. It's going to escalate. Things are going to keep continuing with the tension between the United States, Saudi Arabia, oil. It's just watch. It's going to continue to brew. And in 2025, mark my words, watch. The ball is going to be dropped. Some type of major shift is going to happen. It's going to continue. We see right here, this was interesting. China doles out millions in digital yuan in bid to boost adoption. Multi-Chinese city governments have given away millions worth of ECNY to try to promote consumptions around the holiday season. This again is China's CBDC. Millions of dollars worth of China's central bank digital currency has been handed out across the country over the Lunar New Year period in bid to boost its take-up. Again, the little puppets, the little sheepsters, right? When they see, and I like how they have the Binance logo and the dragon, interesting, huh? When they see, okay, that the government, quote unquote, is giving them free money, they're going to come run and take it because people, they don't think that that's bad for them. They don't think that that's a negative thing. They're just like, oh, free money. The government rocks. The government's awesome, right? That's how they get your support, okay? They give you free things and people take to that because it's a natural human inclination to not want to pay for something because they've manipulated you into believing that the money that they print has something of value, okay? According to a February 6th report in Global Times, an English language outlet for the state Ru People's Daily newspaper, around 200 activities for the ECNY were launched across the country during the holiday period. They could have launched at any other time. No. What do they decide to do? The holiday period. Why? Because people need money to do what? To go feed the system, to go buy each other gifts because you've been manipulated into believing that everybody needs these materialistic objects that they, it's just, the rabbit hole goes so deep. I can't even, how can people not see this? How? Please tell me. Oh, last but not least, I'll leave you guys with this. Okay. I'm sorry for ranting. As China pushes its digital currency plans, the U.S. falls behind. I wonder why the U.S. is falling behind. I wonder why the U.S. sued one of the best distributed ledger technology companies out there. Ripple. Wonder why. Do you think it's all coincidence or do you think it's all by design? You all take it upon yourselves based off the information that I've displayed to you here to make your own executive decisions. Hopefully some of the information that I talked about via the debt crisis that we're on the verge of potentially experiencing here in the USA drives you to do more research on what's really happening in the world. If you all want a firmer perspective on what it is that we talk about here on the CYPRX YouTube channel, again, more open speech kind of platform, head over to our Rumble channel. We're going to continuously upload on YouTube. We love YouTube. Proud supporter of what YouTube has done for the spread of information. However, we can only go so far down the rabbit hole. So if you enjoy this type of content, again, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share this video breakdown, but then also click the link in the description down below and head over to our Rumble channel. We appreciate the love and the support. As always, blessings to you all. I cannot stress enough to be cognizant, be aware out there. Take it upon yourself to do your own research, and I will see you all in the next YouTube video breakdown.
I won't stop till I hear him say